Apparently, the jury said, we don't care what happened with Jane and Cassie, but because you were their boyfriend or their man, I guess you own them and you can do what you want. However, the one thing that kept coming up that a lot of people overlooked was that he was convicted on 2 major sex crimes. The Mann Act. They are major federal crimes, okay?
You thought Diddy was off the hook? Think again. Because just when his fans were celebrating like he'd pulled the ultimate legal Houdini, the judge stepped in. And let's just say, Diddy's victory lap got cut real short. He may have dodged the RICO case and left that courtroom with a smug little grin, but behind the scenes, the judge just made a quiet but deadly move. And now, Diddy's legal team is reportedly scrambling to hold it all together. Why? Because while the internet was distracted by dropped charges and courtroom drama, nobody was paying attention to the one thing Diddy didn't beat: a federal conviction. And this isn't just some outdated law collecting dust in the archives. This has been used to take down powerful men before, and it carries real prison time. We're talking years, not months.
I suspect Diddy's team is going to say there should be no more jail time, at the very most time served. Prosecutors are going to try and argue for something closer to that maximum. And then there's another part of the process where an outside entity will do a review. This would be a probation department will do a review and make a determination about that and what their recommendation is. And that will be based on many different factors, including other similar cases.
So, while X was busy cracking jokes and counting down to his comeback, the court was quietly preparing something much heavier. And now, word on the street is that Diddy is panicking because this judge doesn't look like he's playing games. Now the question is, how long will Diddy stay behind bars? So buckle up, because this isn't the end of Diddy's story. It might just be the beginning of his real downfall. In a move that sent shockwaves through the legal community, the judge overseeing Diddy's case has asked for comparable sentencing records for other defendants convicted under the Mann Act. Specifically, people who had no prior criminal history, but were still found guilty of similar crimes.
Sean Combs has been found not guilty of, in terms of the 2 counts of sex trafficking, he's been found not guilty of both. And now we are learning that the 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, that he has been found guilty. Those are counts 3 and count 5 of these federal charges that he is facing.
Now, to the average person, that might sound like a normal part of the process. But to legal insiders, it's a huge red flag. Because judges don't just ask for that information out of curiosity. They do it for one of 2 reasons. 1, to justify giving a lighter sentence, or 2, to build a case for a heavier one. And based on everything else we're hearing from the courtroom, all signs point to option number 2. Let's be clear. This judge has already shown he's not in the mood for leniency. He denied Diddy's bail, outright stating that Diddy is a violent individual with a pattern of abuse, and importantly, that his money and community ties actually make him more dangerous, not less.
Just in, the judge has denied Diddy bond, stating that he is a danger to other people. That makes me feel like the 2 charges he was found guilty on, they carry up to 10 years in prison on each sentence, or each charge. I do feel like this judge may give Diddy 20 years. He may be sentenced to the full 20 years or 15 plus. If you're indicating he is a danger to other people.
That's incredibly rare language for a judge to use, especially in a high-profile case. Not only does it signal that the court sees Diddy as a credible threat, but it also shuts down any future argument that he deserves house arrest, parole, or early release. In fact, some legal experts are saying this language slams the door on any hope of Diddy walking out without serving a hard time. Okay, let's talk about why this conviction matters so much. The Mann Act is not just some old relic from the past. It's been used in recent years to take down major figures involved in trafficking and sexual misconduct. And when paired with violence and control, as it is in Diddy's case, it becomes one of the most powerful weapons in the federal justice system.
Diddy Combs spent another night behind bars after he was convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, a felony violation of the federal man.
And here's the kicker. The judge isn't just relying on the jury's decision. He's also been handed letters from victims, undisclosed affidavits, and witness statements that the jury never saw, which means he's not going into sentencing blind. He's walking in with a stack of alleged evidence that paints a devastating picture of who Diddy really is behind closed doors. Because of this, Diddy's legal team is scrambling. Insiders claim they're trying to shut down content creators, clean up social media, and even prep a last-minute PR makeover to soften the image before sentencing. The idea? Paint Diddy as a changed man. But the judge isn't buying it. Why? Well, some legal commentators allege that Diddy may have tried to enroll in a batterers program ahead of sentencing, a tactic often used in high-profile cases to suggest rehabilitation, even if it's seen as damage control rather than genuine reform. But according to legal experts, that only made things worse, because by enrolling in that program, Diddy basically admitted guilt. It's a silent way of saying, yeah, I did that, but I'm working on it. Judges see right through it. In fact, one court insider said this kind of pre-sentencing rehab is often treated as damage control, not sincere reform. It shows Diddy knew legal trouble was coming and tried to get ahead of it. Now, what about parole? Could Diddy somehow weasel his way out with probation or a slap on the wrist? Words in the streets say extremely unlikely.
Or release, especially if they're asking about parole eligibility, probation, or sentencing ranges. 2, the judge is building a case for why Diddy should not get leniency.
Because this judge is building something bigger than a sentence. He's building a narrative, one that makes it legally and politically impossible to show mercy. Why? Because if Diddy is released and offends again or intimidates a victim, that failure falls directly on the court. And judges do not like being made to look like fools. So this isn't just about punishing Diddy. It's about protecting the court's credibility, the justice system, and sending a message to other powerful men who think they're untouchable. It's also about public sentiment. This trial has been a lightning rod. People across the country have watched it unfold.
The truth will always find its way, even in the dark.
She has knots on her head. It was horrific.
He said, sometimes you just gotta let these hoes know who the boss is.
I see them both holding guns.
I'm fighting for my life.
He said, I'm Puff Daddy. I'll eat your face off.
I always believed that I was the only victim.
Why did I put this on myself?
With survivor advocates and legal watchdogs saying that letting Diddy walk would be a slap in the face to victims everywhere. Even DOJ officials have acknowledged that this case could have a chilling effect on whether victims feel safe coming forward, which means the pressure on the judge is higher than ever. So even if Diddy's team finds some legal technicality or throws together a last-minute rebrand, the judge has more than enough ammunition to issue a serious, heavy sentence and make it stick. Right now, Diddy's team is terrified. They've allegedly requested the court to compare his conviction to lesser Mann Act cases with no priors. But legal analysts say that request won't work because Diddy's case involves violence, coercion, and a clear pattern of abusive behavior. And guess what? That changes everything. Just consider this. The judge has already laid the groundwork. From denying his bail to rejecting any PR stunts as genuine remorse, this isn't shaping up to be a light sentencing. Unless something dramatic shifts, some miracle new evidence, a shocking appeal, or a full legal Hail Mary, it looks like Diddy is headed for a long stay behind bars. And it's pretty obvious why. The Mann Act is serious. The judge isn't playing. And the system? It's finally catching up. Because no matter how famous you are, how rich, how powerful, if you're violent, manipulative, and dangerous, the justice system will find a way to hold you accountable. So now we wait for the final sentence. But if we're reading the signals right, Diddy's worst days may be just beginning. So, do you think the judge is going to hand down a heavy sentence, or is Diddy still protected by power and influence? Drop your thoughts in the comments and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for the latest updates on the trial everyone's talking about. Because of this story, it's far from over.